Hello, welcome to Anthony the Geeks. You join us for another painting video. Today, again, Massive Darkness, third in the series, for me anyway. This one is going to be Ellias. There is the model. Ready to go. Very grey, this model. He's going to be very grey when we finish because this is going to be a pretty straightforward one to paint. And that said, I'm going to start with one of the smaller details, which is the skin, because he's got the hat there, which is covering a lot of that facial detail. And it's sort of an inside colour, I would say, so we're going to start on the inside and work our way out as opposed to using the majority of the colour first. So again, with skin, we're going to start with Potg's Glow. And I'm just going to do the hands and the face, so I'll be back once I've done that. Okay, so there we go, not much change because it's only small parts we've done so far, but it is the flesh in the face and on the hands. So I'm going to go ahead and just shade them with Reichland Flesh Shade. There it is. And wait for that to dry before I continue, that way it doesn't spill onto any of the other areas. That's it for now, back in a moment. Okay, so that shade has dried. It's a quite small area, so it's dried relatively quickly. And we're just going to use a very small brush, probably the Insane Detail brush, just to apply some Cadian flash tone to the raised areas and on the fingers and backs of the hands, just to give it a bit more definition on where the flash is. So it's not going to take long to do that. I'll be back once that's dry. So there we go. Still not much happened on this model because we're only doing the flesh. But you see there we've done a little bit of a highlight. We're going to do one final highlight for the flesh on this guy, which is Kizio flesh. And that's just the upper areas where the light's hitting it. This might be a light source depending on how I paint it, so got to bear that in mind a little bit. That's going to be more for the cloak and the hat and the sword. So I'll do that and then we'll be back with the next stage. Okay, so that's the skin done. There we go, that's all we've got so far. So next what I want to do is paint these pouches that are on his back. I'm going to do them all the little closing pouches are going to be done with a tone of Montfang Brown. And then we have a bigger pouch on there as well. I just want to make it look a little bit different. I'm just going to use a slightly different brown, and that's going to be Dryad Bark. I'm just going to put the base tones for those on, and then I'll be back. Okay, so we've painted on the pouches on there. I've also done the boots, did that in Montfang as well. The next thing I want to do on this is actually paint the sword and the staff, give them their base colour as well. We're going to be using a lead belcher for that, and I'm just going to stick them on. That's it, just the sword and the staff for that one, I think. Right, so we'll be back once I've done that. Okay, so that's the lead belcher on there, which is great. Next thing I'm going to paint is the belt. The belt's going to be done in black. I'm just going to use a Baden black on the belt and get that bit done, and then I'll be back when that's done. Okay, so we've painted the belt now. We've got all those colours on. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to wash this whole thing, apart from the face and hands, in Nuln Oil. Everything else is getting washed in oil. Beard, hat, cloak, lead belcher, pouches, everything's going to get washed in Nuln Oil. And there it is, the Nuln Oil. This is the normal Nuln Oil, not the gloss, because I want this for fabrics. Actually, yeah, good point. I'm going to do the gloss over the staff and over the sword. There we go. I knew there was something else I was going to say. Good thing I remembered that before I went off camera and just did it. So yeah, the staff and the sword will get done in gloss, the rest is going to get done in that. So I'm going to have to do it in the two stages to make sure it doesn't mix with itself. So I'm going to do that first, make sure it dries. Then I'm going to do that, make sure it dries, and then I'll be back, so that might take a little while. Okay, so we've got plenty of shading on the model now. Still a little bit damp where the base is, that doesn't matter too much. I can start the next stage. The next stage is I want to bring that grey back up again because his main focus is grey. I don't want him to be in a big sort of contrasting grey at this point. So especially near the top and near where this light source is going to be on his hat, I'm going to go over these areas and highlight them again in Mechanica Standard Grey, leaving plenty of that shading from the Nuln Oil in there as well, because that needs to stay on there. So I'll be back when I've done that. Okay, now if I add that back up again, as you can see there, we're going to be using Dawnstone next, and again we're going to do the same again, go over those colours that we just highlighted again, leaving plenty of the shading going on, especially near the bottom where it's darker, and I'm focusing on the top with a bit more than I probably normally would, especially near this, which I'm hoping to paint as a light source near the end. So let's get on with that. So if you can see that on there. So I need to do another highlight now. We're going to be using, wherever it's gone, Administratum Grey. Claire's stolen it, there it is. Administratum Grey, and again we're going to be highlighting exactly the same, just leaving a bit more of the previous colour on, and then on the background on that. So hopefully you can see the difference on the camera where there's a lot more light highlighting over by this side. Same on here, anywhere that might pick up the light. This half of the hat as well, all done much lighter than the other side. Okay, so we should now move on to the next part. I wanted to highlight the sword and the staff, so I'm going to do that next. And I'm going to be using Runefang steel for that, so I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so now I've highlighted the weapons for now. I'm going to go ahead and highlight the pouches. So for the Doombull and the boots as well, that's Tusco fur, and for the other pouches, that's Gothor brown. So I'm going to do those two. Again, focusing more of the light towards this side, especially on these, because they're quite near that. So we'll be back when that's done. Okay, so we've done the highlight on the pouches. I want to do a further highlight on the go over the Gothor brown using Baneblade brown. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm actually quite happy with the colour of, actually what's the next colour up from Tusco? I might do a little bit just to really brighten it up. Let's find out. So I had problems remembering what the next colour up from Tusco was, because there isn't one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mix some Tusco with, I don't want it too bright, I'm going to mix it with, where is it? Administratum Grey, it's vanished. There we go. So I'm going to do probably 50-50 mix of those to highlight the boot edge of that. As you can see on this boot, I haven't really highlighted it. I've done a little tip because it's going to be mainly in darkness though. So I'm just going to do a little edge highlighting using a mix of these two. Baneblade brown across this just to get that edge lit up as well. And then we can move on. Okay, so there we go. We've done a lot of lighting work so far. I want to do the beard now though, because I don't know how much that's going to need to be lit up. Probably not a lot, but still want to do it. I want to change the tone because we've got a lot of grey in there already, and I still need it to be grey at the end. So I'm going to change it using the fang colour. I'm going to put that onto the beard and the back of the hair and everything, get that on there, and then we shall take it from there. Okay, so the beard's done in the fang. Gives it that sort of bluish appearance at the moment. But we're going to ink that with nun oil and try not to get it on any of the other areas, so I'm going to be pretty careful with the nun oil, and not usually, I'm usually lash it on. I'm going to be pretty conservative this time, so I'm going to put that on and then I'll be back when it's done. Okay, so while that beard's still drying, I also want to say I put some fang around the straps around his hat as well. Once the fang's dried, I'm going to ink them too, and then we can continue with the highlighting for that as well then. Okay, so I'll be back once all this nun oil's dried on both these parts. Okay, so I'm just going to do the beard, the next stage of the beard. I'm going to be using Fenrisine Grey for that. Just going to pick out the beard and then we can continue with the model after that. Okay, so that's where we're up to with the beard and the hair. I've also done the hat as well because it was done in the same colours. So now I'm going to mix probably about 60% white scar with 40% Fenrisine Grey. I want to get a nice whitey grey colour for the beard to highlight it a bit further. So I'm going to do that next and then I'll be back. So that's where we're up to. The beard's quite white, it's quite good, it's not too bad. Kind of looks like the image. One of the things I want to do before I forget, I'm actually going to paint the belt buckle and the end of the belt. So they stand out a bit better, and they're going to be done in Retributor Gold. There's also like a little thing hanging off the belt. I'm going to paint that in Retributor Gold as well. And then we can move on from there. So we're back in a second. Okay, so you can see the belt there, put a bit of gold on there and there, a little gold magical pouch type thing. Just wanted to make it look a bit different from the other pouches, and I've also done the handle of the sword as well, just to make it stand there, a bit of spot colouring going on. I'm going to give them a little bit of an ink, controlled ink with the Reichland Fleischer Gloss version, just to make them glossy before the next coat, and then I shall be back once that's dried. Okay, so I'm just going to give those golds a quick highlight of Runefang Steel, and then we'll be able to move on to the lighting part, I think. After that, we'll start on the gem on the top of the staff. Okay, so just a slight onto the silver there, just to bring up back. Oh, sorry, onto the gold, just to bring up that gold there. Right. So the crystal on the top, we're going to go with blue. Blue seems a nice colour. It's kind of how it looks on the pictures. I want just to really shine. It's really bright blue to white. So we're just going to start with Caldor Sky. I'm just going to cover the whole gem in that, and then I have to wait for that to dry, and then I'll come back. Okay, so there's Caldor Sky done. The next colour we're going to use up is Orthern Blue, and we're just going to cover that and leave a little bit of the original blue showing. So there we go. The next colour I'm going to add on is actually a mix. I'm going to mix the Orthern Blue with some, find it, White Scar. 50-50 mix. I'm going to start with that. Again, I'm just going to build that up like so. And I'm also at this stage going to paint a little bit of this coloured blue onto the sleeves and onto the hat, onto the areas that are going to start picking up the light, and onto the edge of the sword as well. So we're back when I've done that. Okay, so I've also painted a few little bits of light here and there on the areas that like they might pick up a little bit of light from the gem. Then the same on the back, you can see that there. So now we're going to do the same again with the next colour up, which is going to be pretty much a 80% mix of white with Orthern Blue. And I'm just going to go over the crystal and then go over those areas again, just highlighting them again as you would normally highlight now, just using a different colour. Okay, so if you can see that there, try to find a dry bit to show you. There we go. So the final step on the path to illumination is just white. So we're going to put a few little bands of white onto that, just wrapped around, and then we're going to highlight the edges in white over the blue areas we've just been doing. And there he is, finished. We've done the highlighting from the light on there. I'm quite happy with that. That's pretty cool. It's turned out pretty well. Last thing to do, I'm just going to put some Astro Granite texture onto the base, followed by some non-oil, followed by a dry brush of Pallid Witch Flesh, because I like the colour that comes out as, just to put a bit of texture on the ground like I did with Bjorn and with Siegfried. So I'm going to do that, I'm going to come back and we'll have a look at the finished model. So that's Ellias finished. There he is. I'm quite happy with that. Quite happy with the effect that I've got on there. It's alright that. There's the original picture. So it's very Gandalf-esque anyway. But that's what I was aiming for anyway. He's turned out pretty well. Quite happy with that. Quite happy with the light source on him. That'll do nicely. Because there's a lot of grey on there, so it's quite difficult to add a lot of character. Everything is just grey, or one grey, or grey blue, or grey white. So I think the lighting from the staff's actually picked up a lot of the different differentiation and the colour and stuff. It's made it look more interesting. So I'm quite happy with that. So there we go. So thanks for watching. That was the third video in the Massive Darkness installment. The next one will be Claire's. I think it's Owen she's doing next. So stay tuned for that, but we shall see you soon. Take care, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye for now.